White Rocket Entertainment, podcast number 973. Well, we're getting close to 1,000. It's just getting closer every week. Spring fever is breaking out all over. Baseball, basketball, and even football are popping all at once on the plains, not to mention golf and more. It's a very spring fevery episode of the AU Wishbone, and it's next. One take. I got to spring fever, and I got to be honest, I was like, all right, this all goes out live, so the YouTube audience sees all of our behind the scenes stuff. I edited all this out for the podcast. All right, let's get to it. It was 93 degrees one day and 40 the next, weather of Southern Illinois, and I'm sure pretty strange out in Eastern Virginia. It's the AU Wishbone podcast. John, how are you tonight?
I'm well, Van. How are you?
I'm good. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do this now. We have a third banana on our show, and he had a very good weekend leading the NCAA pick'em for much of the weekend. And he wanted to just kind of come out and just do something. So here he goes.
Early for a victory lap there, Boris.
he knows that he might not be winning, by the time it's over. He just wants to kind of savor it and enjoy it while it gets good, I think. And I can't blame him for that kind of attitude.
That's the right attitude.
Yeah. You got to strike while the iron is hot. So we'll be seeing more of Boris later. So we'll be talking a little bit how our NCAA tournament brackets are going or not going. Me being kind of on the bottom of the show, folks, is not fun. I don't understand how. I mean, I felt like I got a lot of them right, but apparently I missed some. But anyway, we got a lot to talk about tonight, and not just our NCAA tournament brackets, but there's other stuff going on. But before we get into any of it, and of course, we're going to start out with baseball. But again, before we get into any of it, we always have to say, it's the Auburn Fun Meter, our weekly look at how much fun it is to be an Auburn fan right now. And I'm going to jump you this week, John, and I'm going to go ahead and say I'm having a really good time. I'm at about an 8. It's been a while.
Okay, it's fair. Spring football practice going. Basketball team winning some games in the NIT. Baseball really didn't, win every game, but it was a fun series, dramatic series, a lot of excitement. So I get it. I'll say 7.5, but I'm with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when you add it all together, I mean, and we're going to talk about the NIT, and we got stuff to say, pro and con on that and everything, and we'll get to all that in just a minute. But I mean, with the baseball team playing so well, golf, as I said, doing just intergalactically, the football, and I mean, I'm even excited about football because we got a good interview, an hour-long interview. I don't love Josh Pate, to be honest. He's not one of my favorite sports pod YouTube people. I say that as a YouTube and podcast sports person, but he does interview pretty well. I give him credit for this. He irks me sometimes because of his whole fixation on creating his own college and selling merchandise about it, which just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what he's talking about. But then I appear on YouTube with a small tiger, so what can I say? But he is a good interviewer, and by that I mean he asks good questions and he shuts up and lets the other person answer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good interviewer, right?
No, I'm not there to hear him talk. I'm here to the other person talk, the interview subject.
As somebody that's done a lot of interviews, as you and I have, it's sometimes it's hard. You start asking a question and then you realize you should have asked it in a different way, and you start changing it, and next thing you know, your question is 5 minutes long. I get it. So there's a trick to formulating your question up front, communicating it and then letting the other person go.
Yes.
And it's a skill. But I really liked that interview he did with Golish.
I thought it was good.
Yeah. Every day I get a little happier that we ended up with Golish. There was 5 minutes on the day we hired him that I was like, oh man, I thought we were going to get Summerall. And then as soon as I'll be honest with you, I had never looked that closely at him really. I'd been looking at Summerall. I didn't see any reason to go look at the guy that was like number 7 on our board, But once I did, I was like, this guy would have probably been my number 1. He's like, he came across to me as like almost like a more charismatic, more energetic young Gus Malzahn, with a little less folksy Waffle House and a little more, I could be an NFL assistant coach. And, if I weren't doing this I've said that before, kind of an energy to him, right? He seems really smart, really energetic. He's also got some of that Terry Bowden energy bouncing around in him. He's kind of a stout guy, that's kind of a ball of energy. Isn't it weird? I hadn't thought about this until we just started, and so I started telling you right now, but he's got aspects of Gus, he's got aspects of Terry Bowden. And I mean, those were 2 great offensive coaches in their time.
Sure.
For us. So that's my thought.
No, I thought it was a good interview, and I've learned a little bit about Golish and his thought process about starting at Auburn. And so that was useful, I thought.
Yeah. It got me excited. That's why I was at an 8, is all I'm saying. All right. Well, let's talk about baseball. They were up to like number 4 nationally, and then welcomed in number 3, Georgia Tech, hammered them in one game, a 1-game set. And then they played a 3-game weekend run with Texas, who was number 2.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about that. What's the deal with that?
So it was a huge, highly anticipated SEC opener series, a top 5 matchup, and every game was dramatic and record crowds, as much excitement and enthusiasm as Auburn has ever had about baseball. And if you win, Auburn only won the first game and lost the next 2 games, but every game was exciting and dramatic. The first game, Auburn went up early and then was losing, and then came back and won in the bottom of the 9th, basically a walk-off to win. The second game, Auburn fell behind big and then came back to 7-6 and had 2 guys on base with the batter up in the bottom of the 9th. And lost. After coming back, it was 7-0, and fans were like, okay, we're just here to eat popcorn, basically, and enjoy the sun. And then Auburn came all the way back and made it 7-6 and had 2 guys on base, and that crowd was going bananas. And didn't get the win. Some great relief pitching by a young Texas relief pitcher. And then Sunday, that Texas jumped on them, and Auburn didn't have anything, as much. It lost 5-0. But it was a great series, really competitive. And it makes you think like this Auburn team could, win a lot of games, could host a sub-regional, could do a bunch of damage, because Texas is really, really freaking good. And we stood toe to toe with them for games and went back and forth. So
good time to be an Auburn baseball Tiger. And he's been the manager, whatever they call it, for a long time now. And they've been building. It's been kind of like with Bruce, where the first few years you could tell they were going somewhere, but they just kind of had to build. And then you reach a certain point and they're really good. And they've been really good the last couple of years. So this is very exciting. And you were saying that they had a player that was supposed to be one of their best players that hadn't even played yet.
Yeah, no, one of their pitchers was supposed to be one of their good starting pitchers, hadn't even really played yet. He's been held out because of injury concerns. And that's a guy who was a transfer starting pitcher, Eddie Madrigal. He was a big portal addition, but he's been held out because of a knee injury. And I don't think he pitched this weekend, but he's close. And that's a guy who they thought might even be their number one starter. And
Yeah.
this team, the biggest thing I like about this team is they are a very deep and balanced team. It's not like a stars and scrubs kind of thing where we got one or two superstars. They got a whole bunch of guys up and down the lineup and up and down the pitching roster who can make stuff happen.
That's awesome. It just makes me wish I liked baseball.
It was good. I'm telling you what, if you watch those games or you listen to those games this weekend, it was exciting.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. All right. Basketball. Before we talk about what actually happened, I have another question for you. We talked about this a little bit last week before we'd played any games. How do you feel about the NIT in general now after 2 games?
I don't think my feeling has changed. I'm glad Auburn is in it. I'm glad they accepted. We had a good season, but not a good enough season to get in the NCAA tournament, but good enough to keep playing and win some games. And I think it can serve the purpose we talked about of, giving us a little positive push heading into the offseason instead of a sour taste in our mouth. So I'm good with that. How about you?
Yeah, I was just thinking there's 24 teams as of today still playing basketball in the NCAA tournament and the NIT. I know there's some other tournament going on. We can talk about that if you want to, but I'm ignoring it because it's not in my world. So there's 24 teams left playing competitive college basketball right now that I recognize. 24. And 16 in the NCAA tournament and 8 in the NIT. And Auburn's one of those 24, and that's good. I'd rather be one that's still playing than one that's not, regardless. And it's not the NCAAs. I'm not an idiot, at least not on that. I get it. I understand. It's not the NCAA tournament. It's the NIT. I know. I get it. But still, we have a young coach and young players, other than the 2 Keyshawn's. We don't even have one of them anymore. We have a young coach and mostly young players that need all the competitive, meaningful basketball against other teams, not their scout team in practice. And if not for the NIT, we would be, as I think it was it Sway that said we would just be sitting around bored, going to practice and playing video games and stuff. And instead, it took them a game to figure that out. And I get it, right? They were kind of like, well, do we want to be here or not? I don't know. And then once they it's like in football when they say, you get hit in the mouth one good time and now your mind's on the game. You gain focus real fast when somebody hits you the first time. And I think they kind of went out against South Alabama in the first half and got hit in the mouth and woke up. And ever since then, they've been playing pretty darn well. They've still got some of the same flaws that they've had all year, and that's just never going to change. That's just this team, and we can talk about it. But I know this, John. North Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky, and Florida, among others, are at home right now playing video games and going to practice. And Auburn is still planning for a competitive basketball game with a trophy at the end of the line and a banner at the end of the line. You dang right, a banner. Hang the banner. Absolutely hang the banner. The farthest Auburn has ever gotten in the NIT, and we've been in it 7 times, the farthest we've ever gotten was to the game we're about to play this time. We got that far in 2009.
I did not know that.
We usually lose in the first game. A couple of times we get to the second game and lose, and they're usually away. They're hardly ever in Auburn. In 2009, with Lebo, we won the first game, we won the second game, and we played a third game, and we lost to Baylor. I think at home we lost to Baylor. Yeah, because I remember seeing that the attendance was like, for the first game, the attendance was like 1,500 in 2009. The second game attendance was like 2,500, and then for the third game they had like 4,000 people in there, and they lost. So if we can pull that, we've never gone to the site of the tournament itself, right? We've never gotten off the home or away campus part. So if we can beat Nevada on Wednesday night, it'll be the first time we ever go to the NIT which it used to be Madison Square Garden. This year, it's actually Indianapolis, the same place as the Final Four. So, like, all of the teams are going to be playing in Indianapolis. They just have them staggered different days. So we'll get to see Auburn play in Indianapolis. Hell, I might drive over there if that's not that far. If that's the case, I might run over there. I'm going to be I'm going to be in Chicago all over the weekend. I have to see when it is. Anyway, too bad it's not Chicago. I'd be there anyway. But yeah, so this is our chance to go farther than we've ever been in the NIT, which is, again, a dubious distinction, and I get it. Again, let me just preface this once more so that we don't get messages and emails and comments. I know it's the NIT. I get it. But it's competitive basketball that we wouldn't be playing if we were worse. And I'm glad we're doing it. Do you want to look at the previous two games, or you want to break down the Nevada stuff first?
You can go into Nevada first, and then we can go back.
All right. So we'll talk in a second about South Alabama and Seattle, the two games we've already won. But here's the deal. Auburn is a 9.5 favorite against Nevada. We average 83 points a game, and we allow opponents 79, which is a good indication this hasn't been a great year. Defense is not good. We average 8.2 3-pointers a game and right at 20 free throws a game, 36.6 rebounds, nearly 13 assists, and 10 turnovers a game. So kind of a mixed bag there. Without Keyshawn Murphy, we enter the game with 3 players left who are averaging double figures in scoring. Keyshawn Hall at 20 per game, Taha just over 15, Kevin Overton just over 13, and Hall averages just under 7 rebounds a game. Now, Nevada beat Liberty 73-63 on Sunday in the second round to advance. Their best player is Corey Camper Jr., had a triple-double on Saturday against Liberty. 10 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists. That's pretty good. Elijah Price had a double-double. So they had a triple-double and a double-double in their game against Liberty. 15 points and 10 rebounds, and they had 3 other players with double figures in scoring. They shot 46% from the field, 24% from three-point line, which isn't great, 95% free throws, 19 out of 20. ESPN's analytics gives Auburn about an 84% chance of winning, with Nevada about a 16% chance. Nevada's sports writers said a couple of things I thought you might find interesting. They said Auburn is a super physical team that ranks 8th in the nation in free throw rate, 15th in offensive rebound rate, and 15th in adjusted offensive efficiency. Though Auburn doesn't defend particularly well, bottom 15 in the nation in three-point defense. Yeah, we make every team that goes up against us look like the greatest three-point shooting team in history for that game, and we'll talk about that when we get to the Seattle. Good Lord. Auburn will not overwhelm Nevada with size, but it will have a sizable edge in athleticism and is generally the toughest team on the court, especially on offense in the paint. Let's see. Get this. Against South Alabama, and this I have this up here just because I found it in the Nevada notes, but it kind of goes with what I think about Nevada, about South Alabama. Against South Alabama, Auburn attempted 44 3-pointers and only 17 2-pointers. That's kind of mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yes, and we're going to talk about that game because I'm going to talk about this part in that game.
All right, hold that thought then. We're going to. That number struck me as cuckoo. All right, this was interesting. Somebody asked a Nevada sports writer, was it a bigger money maker for Nevada to win their conference tournament and lose in the first round of the NCAAs, or go through and win the entire NIT? Which do you think you make more money? Losing in the first round of the NCAAs or winning the NIT? Losing in the first round of the NCAA tournament, you make about $2 million. Winning the entire NIT, you get $4,000 per game.
Yeah. There you go.
NIT. All right. Now, last thing. Do this. I thought it would be fun to do this Nevada sports writer's little opinion thing. I edited it down really brief. In the voice of Raj Bennett from Men in Blazers. So here we go. The Pack is 17-2 at Lawler Event Center this season. Lawler protects and nourishes the Wolf Pack and gives it strength, life and strength, confidence and courage. It makes the Wolf Pack believe it is better than it has a right to be. Now, here's where it gets a little shaky, John. They're 57-11 at their home court in the last several years, but they lose on the road constantly. They are terrible on the road. And guess who Nevada's head coach is? Do you know? Do you know?
I did not know before your notes here in the document.
Steve Alford of Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
All right, more about him in just a minute. The last time that Nevada won a game on an opponent's court was at Air Force in January. They are not good on the road. Meanwhile, Auburn, as the Nevada guy says, they officially call Neville Arena the jungle. Auburn has won 66 consecutive non-conference games at home. So, yes, when Auburn invites you to their home for dinner, you are the main course. The Pack is a 9-point underdog at Auburn. All right, Steve Alford. I believe his high school gym has a higher capacity than Auburn Arena, than Neville. If not, it's close. He was the point guard, I believe, and scored 31 points against Auburn in the 1987 NCAA basketball tournament, where Indiana came from behind to beat us 107-90. That was in the second round. This was a game that we talk about at length in our basketball book, and it is a game that I still am mad about. I had a dartboard with a Bobby Knight picture on it that I threw darts at for a long time when I was an Auburn student back then. And Alford shot 60%. Indiana shot 60% from the floor against us. Daryl Thomas and Keith Smart on that team as well. They went on to win the national championship over Syracuse. I just read John Feinstein's A Season on the Brink. It's a great, great sports book, and Alford is all in it. All in it. He was like a junior Bobby Knight, and the two of them were just –
He was the lead dog for that team. The game, Keith Smart made the shot in the championship game, but Alford was the main guy, the All-American on that team.
That's right. And now he's the coach of Nevada. And I would love nothing more than to win on Wednesday night, beat Nevada, advance to Indianapolis, and beat Steve Alford.
I like that. I could do that.
That would be sweet. All right, let's look at the two games we've already.
Before we get to that, the Nevada game is Wednesday night this week, the 25th at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2.
I'm sorry about the whole 9 p.m. Eastern thing, but
it's a lot of late games this season, man. That's all I'm saying.
I get to sleep a little late on Thursday, and then I'm going to do classes. Then I'm going to take off for Chicago. So hopefully I don't have to stay up too late, and I'll fall asleep driving on the interstate up to Chicago. So this coming weekend is Windy City Pulp Con, and I'm not up for any awards this year, sadly. I spent last year writing that Auburn book, that one right there, along with you. But we'll see about next year.
The Auburn, all they did was win. Could be a write-in candidate, I guess.
It should be, in my opinion. But yes, it's a work of art. All right, so talk to us a little bit about South Alabama.
So Auburn has won 2 NIT games, as you mentioned. The first game was South Alabama. We beat last Tuesday night, 78-67. And the big headline at the start of that game was that Keyshawn Murphy had kind of walked away from the team heading into the NIT and decided to just not play. Very, a center and a guy who had been a reliable, good leader and a good person. It was kind of shocking.
Yeah, I love the guy. I was really amazed and not happy about that.
Agreed. I wasn't very happy either. So he didn't play, and then South Alabama plays this style of defense where they play a zone and they play a very tight end zone and put a lot of guys close into the basket, and they basically dare you to shoot 3-pointers. They're bringing all their guys in close. They're not playing the 3-point line, and they're like, we're going to crowd the paint and not let you get easy shots near the basket or get rebounds, and we're going to dare you to take 3-pointers. And Auburn, of course, did that, as you said. They took 44 3-pointers in that game, attempted 44.
Yeah.
And the second most Auburn had, and this is a common among South Alabama opponents, the second most free 3-pointer attempts Auburn had attempted in a game this year was 32. So, and most Auburn games were like 23. And we attempted 44 in that game.
My sense, especially in the first half, was that they crowded the lane so much that we felt like we couldn't get a good shot off in the interior.
Yeah, we couldn't. And then one of the things that changed was they started playing Caden Magwood a lot. And he came in. Stephen talked about a lot of the game, how he had been practicing great. He had good grades. He had really kept his head on straight and worked his way back to deserve an opportunity. And without Murphy, they had some minutes to spare, rotating guys around in different spots. And Magwood came off the bench and gave the team a spark offensively. He was really good.
Yes, he was very good. That's what I wanted to ask you about and let me get the right team up finally there. Okay. But this was my question about that was Magwood was in the doghouse, right? He wasn't injured. He just Stephen didn't like some things about his game.
I was going to say, but also I think he had some bad defensive games. And the deal is if you're not going to play good defense, you're not getting in the rotation.
Right. That's Stephen's rule is you play defense the way we want you to play defense. And in exchange, you can be a little loosey-goosey on offense, which seems to usually work pretty well, but didn't work out too well this season with some of them. And I think Stephen's going to probably change a few things in his approach because of that. But Magwood, he came in and was the spark they needed. He ran the point as clean as Tahad. And honestly, Tahad makes one totally boneheaded turnover every game lately where he just isn't paying attention when he's dribbling, and he just the guy just takes it away from him and standing there flat-footed. And Magwood didn't do that. And Magwood hit some 3-pointers.
Yeah.
Which is refreshing. Kevin Overton misses all of his 3-pointers in the first half, and I believe he hit 7 in the second half of this game, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah. He'll shoot air balls in the first half. And in the second half, he's just unconscious. I don't understand it.
Kevin Overton is now Mr. Second Half.
Yes. Yeah. So.
But no, Magwood made a big difference. They weren't getting any of that stuff, from the walk-on they had been playing as a backup to Tahad, and they needed some bench minutes for a guard. It was productive. It can't be just Tahad and Overton the whole time. And Magwood came off the bench and gave him a spark, and that really mattered in that game. And then the second game, Auburn played Seattle. It was Sunday late in the afternoon, evening, and really, Sway, Sebastian Williams-Adams had a really good game, played a lot of center, something he had not done much this season. Elijah Freeman had a great game. He's been coming on over the course of the season, and this was a very strong game for him. 19 points, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 steal.
I've been saying Elijah Freeman all year. And I was excited to see him and Sway kind of go off in this game. This was sort of their game, the way that the first game was Caden Magwood's game to a certain degree. And it's just different players having to pick it up because Tahad hasn't had a big offensive game in either one of these games. He could on Wednesday. You just never know. And Keyshawn Hall he's been okay, but
in this, like in the Seattle game, he did what we needed him to do. He only scored 9 points, but he had 15 rebounds, 5 assists, and a block. So, I mean, without Murphy, we need him in there fighting for rebounds, and he did that. And his drawing attention from the defense and passing the ball made a difference in the game, I think. So that was good from Keyshawn Hall. That helped us.
He's good at breaking the defense down. Like he'll line up with a guy and he'll kind of size him up and shift around and dribble the ball a little bit and dance a little bit and kind of get you to commit to something. And then he'll either shoot or drive past you or make the pass. And it doesn't always work out what he does next, but he's good at that part of it at least. And he often does draw a foul when he does that too, going to the, attacking. And I've said this forever, I mean, if you want to, we've got a soundboard section of stuff that you've said that we put together, somebody put together. If you wanted to do that for me on basketball, it would be, I want a point guard that attacks the rim.
Yes.
We really haven't had one of those. Tahad every now and then does, and he's very good when he does it, but he doesn't do it that often. And I mean, Jared Harper did it to great effect when he had to. I still think Javon McCormick was one of the best we've ever had at that. He was so physical and strong, would go in there and attack it.
He was explosive.
Yes, and we haven't had guards that could do that the last few years.
But Magwood has a little bit of that.
He does. Yeah. So, I mean, I wish we had Murphy, but because, man, playing Jovic at center is like, when they come out to do the face-off, where they throw the ball up in the middle, I'm just like, this is a waste of time. We should just not even send anybody out there. Just let them have it, because we're not going to get it. It's just so weird to have a team that's this short, relatively speaking. Everything's relative.
Yes.
This is like the shortest Auburn team in 20 years, it seems like. I don't know, but all right. So Seattle, did we we're talking about did we transfer? Okay.
We talked about Seattle a little bit. I think that the other difference with Seattle is, like a lot of Auburn opponents, they had a great day shooting the 3-pointer. They're not, they're a defensive team and not a good offensive team. Seattle is. Against Auburn, they took their second most 3-pointers of the season. And I think it was the most they had made in any game this season. Let me double check.
I'm going to say they're
that
like
was the most.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Teams always get their most against us.
They made 16 3-pointers against Auburn. The next most they had made was 12 in a game. And most of their games, they're making like 7.
Yes. So they're like retroactively rethinking the entire season now. But no, it's not you, it's us. But the thing of it is, there were several factors, okay? Of those 16 3-pointers they made, it seemed like they made like 10 of them in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah, we were up big and they were just
chipping away. Yeah, they got hot and we're chipping away. What also had changed, Sebastian Williams-Adams fouled out. He got like 3 fouls in 45 seconds.
Yes.
And he went from 2 fouls to fouled out in less than a minute. And it was so fast that our coaches didn't realize and left him in. They just couldn't believe that he had just picked up 3 fouls, bang, bang, bang. And so he stayed in and ended up fouling out. And without him in there, we lacked the interior defense, and then they pop it back out and they were making those threes. So I'd like to think, I mean, I do know that we let teams get their most 3-pointers. We are the cure for your 3-point slump. We need a Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage commercial for come on down to Stephen Pearl's 3-point shooting cures. You having trouble shooting a 3? That's no problem. Line up against our boys. You'll be knocking them things down left and right. Yoo-hoo! I mean, that's what it's like, and they just line up. Yeah, so I don't know why is it that, I mean, I know that Stephen Pearl's answer was we're not good at defense. And there's something to be said for that, but why is it that these teams all have career days against us?
Again, I think we don't have a bunch of really good perimeter defenders. There's no Denver Jones in this roster, for example.
Yeah.
And then also I think when we switch and stuff, then it's easy for the other team to get us in situations where where our defenders are out of position and there's an open guy at the three, we're doubling somebody or near the basket, or they've driven a guy into the basket and we all have to leave our man to go help. And then the 3-point guy is open. So,
yeah. So the semifinals and the finals will be coming up in Indianapolis, just like the Final Four, if we can take care of Nevada. I was going to see if I could find us a nice Nevada. I don't see one. Oh, well. No. Have we played them before? It feels like they feel like a team we've played, but
give me a second.
In the last couple of years. They've got, but like I said, they got a guy that had a triple-double. They got another guy that had a double-double. And so, yeah, let me see if here's the updated NIT. Man, I'm having to click on 8,000 things to, all right, let me see if I can throw the NIT's current bracket up so people can get a sense of where we are. It's
we have not played Nevada before. We have only played UNLV.
Okay. So we beat South Alabama. We beat Seattle, who took out St. Thomas. And now we get Nevada that took out Liberty and Murray State. The Racers. I did read that we are the only high major team left. I guess that means Oklahoma State lost.
And Wake Forest.
And Yale, even if you count them.
They don't count for that.
Yeah. So here's what we got left. Auburn and Nevada. Illinois State and Dayton. More about that in a minute. New Mexico and St. Joseph's. Squawk.
The Hawks.
The Hawks. And Cal. Tulsa.
No, Tulsa.
Yeah.
Cal's out.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. St. Joseph's, Tulsa, and Wichita State. The Shockers. So I'm not afraid of New Mexico, St. Joseph's, Tulsa, or Wichita State. I feel like we got a good shot if we can get past Nevada. Illinois State is like not that far from me here. In fact, I believe that's where Mira went to the girls' state, that, like civics weekend camp thing on their campus. And we didn't have to drive that far to get to Illinois State. So I'm hoping they beat Dayton. I'm going to take a flyer on Illinois State beating Dayton. Wait. There you go. And that would put us up against, who do you like out of the other side if we get past Nevada and
I don't have any idea.
Mexico, St. Joseph's, Tulsa, or Wichita State? Yeah, all the high majors are gone but us. I feel like we can do this. I'm thinking Tulsa, maybe. Tulsa Gabbard.
I like the Shockers.
Oh, the Shockers. Oh, the Shockers. Shockers. All right. What am I doing here? There we go. I'm trying to close this stuff out so I can get back to our show notes.
Now we're ready to move on to football.
Yeah, that's it. So what's going on in Auburn football, John?
Well, we've had a couple of days of spring practice, so not a ton is going on yet. We haven't had a scrimmage or anything serious yet. And a lot of the first practices are just getting, guys going through drills and coaches working on technique and that kind of stuff. So nothing huge, or there's no position battles or anything yet. What did we learn? I think there's a little bit of differences, but between how this coaching staff coaches and how other coaching staffs coach, and we've seen a little bit of that. There's a number of players that are in yellow non-contact jerseys. I think that's useful and important. Linebacker Marcus Riddick, offensive lineman Stanton Ramil, who's a signee from Michigan State, is going to be one of our tackles. Wide receiver Sam Lamar, safety Jack Luttrell, who's a signee from Arizona, offensive lineman Jacob Strand, tight end Jonathan Eccles, and Champ Anthony, our defensive back, who played a lot the last couple of years, is back but was banged up at the end of the season, had surgery. So all those guys are, practicing but wearing non-contact jerseys or doing other things besides full contact stuff. And I think that's situation normal, right? In football, guys get banged up and they get tuned up in the offseason with surgery, and then you have to wait for them to get healthy. But there's some guys in here that we expect to play, and so we need them to get through that and learn the systems and stuff. There's a big motto on the wall of the indoor practice facility stuff that says, "Be who you say you are," which I like.
Be who you say you are. So what do you take that to mean? Back it up?
Yeah, well, back it up, but also like, you say you're a committed, reliable person, like show it. Don't talk about it. I like do the things you need to do to be ready for practice and, ready for school and all those kind of things, and show up to practice ready to do everything you got to do. So, and then the other thing, they have turned in this first week of practice basically into a huge recruiting event. There were a lot of high-profile recruits from all around the South at these practices, and that helped with a lot of energy too.
Is that common? Have we done that before?
Not to the same level we're doing it right now. I think some of it is a scheduling thing, right? Okay. Where a lot of kids are out for spring practice so they can go visit schools. And visit different colleges, but some of it is also they're being intentional about, we know we're going to have a bunch of energy and enthusiasm these first days of practice. So we want to have bring the high school players in, and they also know like they're behind because other teams had coaching staffs in place recruiting some of those guys. So they need to engage and build some relationships with them. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. I was thinking, well, if this is such a great thing, why did we do it before? Why didn't we do it?
They always had like Big Cat Weekend and all that kind of stuff. So
right
before spring practice a lot of times.
Okay. And if you stick with our program, we're here in our 15th season coming up, mind-boggling as that is. But if you stick with us, and if you don't know the show, what John and I do every summer as the season is about to begin is we do the infamous barbecue show, where John and I both go out and procure delicious barbecue, and then we eat it on the air, and it tells us the win-loss records of every team in the SEC. And every time they expand the dang conference, it just means we're up later eating more barbecue. They're really trying to kill us, John.
We go to 24 teams, and we may have to make it a 2-episode thing or something. I don't know.
We have to have the CPR, the clear down here.
Intervention from my doctor at that point.
So. Oh my gosh! Yeah, you are not cleared. You're wearing the non-barbecue jersey for the barbecue show. You're not cleared for full barbecue contact.
That's good.
But so the reason I say that now is for those that don't know, other hosts of podcasts and YouTube videos and whatnot, they casually throw out their quote game predictions unquote willy-nilly. We don't do that. We hold game predictions to be sacred and inviolate. And so what John and I do is we only give them out once a year during the barbecue show, and we do not give any win-loss predictions anywhere else other than during the barbecue show. So that's why I put the schedule up here, And I'm not going to say how many games we should win or how many games we should lose or how many games we will win or anything like that. All I'm going to say is what I've been saying ever since this schedule was released. This is the most 1987, 1983, something 85, something like that schedule in decades. The two oddballs that keep this from being a perfect mid-80s schedule are Baylor and Arkansas, right? Because we wouldn't be playing Baylor or Arkansas, but we might be playing one of them as a non-conference game, including Arkansas back then. So if you sawed off, let's just throw away Arkansas because Baylor would be kind of Baylor is in kind of the Florida State, Maryland spot, right? Southern Miss used to always be on our schedule in the 80s. We played them every year. And then Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama, along with Mississippi State. But this one really does go to 11 because we've also got LSU, Vanderbilt, and Ole Miss that we didn't used to play every year. But that's okay. They'd rotate in sometimes. So what do you think about this schedule? Just what's your overall impression of it? I said it's like a very 80s schedule. What do you think?
It's 5 SEC road games. That's number one when I think about the schedule. And that 5 SEC road games, including Georgia and Alabama. So when you hear other people talk about their schedule, if they don't have 5 SEC road games, Georgia, Alabama, like I don't want to hear about it.
No.
So,
yeah, no, that's a good point. But at least we do have Florida at home, LSU at home, so that'll be fun and get some revenge at Vanderbilt hopefully. But anyway, yeah, I look at that and it's certainly going to be an interesting schedule the next year in 2027. It's a season probably worth a book. I came up with a title for our book, but I will not give it away on the air. But I came up with a title. I'm going to run by you and see what you think before we do anything. But I think I got the title. But the other thing was one of the things that makes this schedule so mid-80s is that it has the teams it has, but there's no Texas and there's no Oklahoma and there's no Texas A&M and there's no Missouri, right? It's as much who's not on here as who is. So this is the most 80s schedule we're probably going to have for the next 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
So enjoy.
Southern Miss makes it the 80s schedule, too.
Yeah. Southern Miss and then Florida and Tennessee, along with Alabama and Georgia, right? When was the last time we played all four of them in the same year? I can't remember ever playing all four of them since the what? Early 90s.
Before 96.
Yeah. All right. I had a question. We're recruiting the recruits that came to the thing the last few days had good things to say. We're recruiting some very high profile quarterbacks. You have any thoughts on these 4 and 5 star big time quarterbacks that have been visiting and everything?
I don't know enough about them to give you a good answer about that. So
I just like the fact that we seem to be in the mix for some of these guys. And it may be like Deuce Knight where you only get one of them and then he might not ever see the field, right? More than once. But I want to be in the mix. And I figure with Golesh, if we're ever going to be in the mix for top quarterbacks, this seems like the coach, with his Tennessee resume and everything.
Again, I think we go through this season and Byron Brown has a huge year, gets a lot of attention. It'll attract quarterbacks who want to play in that system. You're right.
Oh, God, I hope you're right. Can't wait. A-Day is coming up.
It's not far away. That's one of the reasons I put it on here. A-Day is Saturday, April 18th at 1 or 2 o'clock and is free, supposedly, I think, to fans. So that's a huge thing. I mean, that's a big freaking deal. It's fun, and they're going to do a more traditional kind of A-Day game format. We'll see. So I'm excited about that.
was trying to get the picture, but it's so annoying that a lot of these things just go straight to like Facebook or whatever. Let me see if I can get a pic. I want to see. Okay, so A-Day Week presented by Golden Flake. And there's several things actually going on. So that includes, let me slap this graphic up here real quick to show you. Or is it going to be one of these that messes around with me? Yeah. Yeah, never mind. Well, here's what it says. Friday, there's softball, women's tennis, baseball versus Kentucky. And then Saturday is softball versus Alabama. That's the 10th, the 11th. Softball, women's tennis, baseball versus Alabama State. And then Saturday, the A-Day game is at 2 p.m. Central.
Okay.
3 p.m. your time. So Saturday, April 18th. And in fact, what I can do is just go over here and do this. Boom. There you go. April 10th through 18th, an 8 or 9 day week. But it culminates with the game on the 18th. So. All right. So let's see. We have a March Madness challenge going on, John.
We do, and we already had Boris celebrating. He had a very good weekend. We'll
He's doing the little hand wave.
The top of the bracket currently has 2 people tied for first. Mark Sandy and Danny Flack are tied. They are in the 97th percentile of ESPN.com.
Good guys.
Brackets.
We always have somebody up there like that.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
great.
They are killing it. And they have different people for the title, so that's a fun thing. Mark has Duke and Danny has Houston. Then there's a group that are tied right behind them that's tied basically they're tied for first. Everybody else is tied kind of one step back, and that includes Michael Park, Luther Ottaway, Preston Settle, George Gaston, Bradley Blackman, Boris the Tiger, G Money, and John Ringer. So Boris and I are tied right there. I see you. I got Boris. I got my eyes on you right here. So I want to point out some great patron names where people named their brackets pretty good. George Gaston named his March Sadness. Thought that was pretty good. David Garner's Hello Misery, My Old Friend.
Indeed.
Let me see who else I really liked. I already called out Chris Como's Nitpicking. Thought that was pretty good. So NIT picking.
I know one that's gotten a lot of attention around our house this week.
What, Boris's bracket?
No.
Oh.
There's one toward the bottom.
Okay, hold on. There's Pearl Jam by Ted Smith. That's pretty good. Bradley Blackman's Thank God for Baseball. Ann Pridgeon's Smoke Weed Every Day. That's a good one.
Smoke weed every day.
There you go.
Ryan McWilliams is Sad Tiger Noises. Still going. Disputed Bracket Champ. It's pretty good by Todd Robinson.
There's one when you see it, you will understand why it has not gone over well with certain people around here. It starts out to beat.
See, I'm scrolling by it somehow. There.
Shall I tell you?
Tell me, go. Oh, to beat a stuffed animal, Clay Henson's bracket. But he's currently not beating that stuffed animal.
No. No, he's not. And Boris is taking great pleasure in that. So yeah, but Boris was in first place much of the weekend, and he was insufferable. He was just going around the house constantly, just going
Jones barbecue and foot massage.
That's not what he was doing. He was going. You do see what he's wearing now, right?
I see the royal robes.
He likes doing the little royal wave. He gets off of that. He enjoys that. He just had to do it one more time just to get it out of his system. And of course, I'm doing horribly, even though I don't really understand, because my entire brackets are still in good shape. I can still win I picked Arizona. I think you did too, right?
Yep.
And I don't know why I've got so few points, because it feels. But anyway, also in our competitive leagues, the Fantasy Formula One League, there was not a race this past weekend, but we do have Suzuka, the Japanese Grand Prix, coming up.
But you still have an opportunity to sign up if you're a patron. You want to jump in. There's only been a couple races. You got plenty of time to jump in and have fun with that.
Yes, I'm not happy. It just is just such an unpredictable season that you could jump in and grab, like, 5 drivers that normally wouldn't be chosen and do quite well, because the people that got Max Verstappen, he didn't finish one race and finished like 8th in another. So, it's just a total crapshoot right now as to who to have. That's why I didn't make I usually freak out and make wholesale changes to both of my teams after like 1 or 2 races, because I'm like, oh, I picked the wrong ones. Oh no. This time I'm like, let it ride. Right? This just if as long as you got like a Mercedes and a Ferrari in there, I feel like you're pretty good. So anyway, we got a race coming up this weekend, so we'll have some more results for that. We do have to thank the patrons, so let me. All right. The AU Wishbone podcast is presented to you ad-free thanks to all of our great patrons via patreon.com. Visit www.auwishbone.com and click on the big orange button to become a patron. One thing I always forget to point out, too, is if you enjoy the witty repartee on this show, our network has 3 other channels that you can check out. In addition to the James Bond show on Her Majesty's Secret Podcast, which is on Podbean, which is on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and whatever. There is also the White Rocket podcast, where John and I and others just review whatever's interesting, like we did the Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We did Andor, you and I did. We do our yearly Lord of the Rings trivia contest there. And then it also has a lot of other things. I do a lot of music podcasts on there with Andy Fix and his wife or other people like that. So there's always something going up almost every weekend on the White Rocket podcast. Then there's the White Rocket Babylon 5 and Sci-Fi Review podcast, which is our newest thing. It's been around 4 or 5 years now, believe it or not. And that one is where Andy Fix and I and occasional other co-hosts review various television shows. We just finished Babylon 5. It took us 5 years, but we just finished reviewing every episode and book and spinoff of Babylon 5. We're about halfway through Stargate Universe, and we're about to start in about a month. We're going to do the original Battlestar Galactica. I'm excited about that. And Andy hasn't watched it since it originally aired back in the 70s. So it's going to be fun. And I think Laura Schroeder is going to join us too. And it's going to be fun to review a show where it's been like 50 years, since one of the co-hosts saw it. So I remember it pretty well. I've watched the DVDs over the years, but he never did. So that's a fun show. All right, here are the folks. I'm sorry?
Be fresh. Be different.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a fun show. If it goes well, we might do the 2004 Battlestar Galactica. We're also talking about doing The Expanse and Foundation and a couple other shows. So we're just kind of having fun with that. So those are all available on the easiest way to go to www.plexico.net, and it's got links to this show and all of our other podcasts. And if you go to www.auwishbone.com, you'll find links to everything that John and I have done, podcast, audio, and book related, including all they did was win up here. And you'll also find the We Believed audio series that we did. But here's how all those things happen, and they happen commercial free, thanks to all of our great supporters at patreon.com. And they include our title sponsor, who loves That's the great Samuel Salvatore. More of that in just a minute. But we also have to thank Logan Chilton, who always reminds us, what do you have to sacrifice to be an Auburn fan?
So what do I sacrifice? Everything.
The NCAA tournament this year, but that's, too soon. Ben Spooner, Auburn not making it to the finals of the NIT would be
Blasphemy!
Carl Von Drunker, Chris and Clinton Stewart. Baseball is straight up killing it right now.
Please clap.
Earl Ricks, Phil Amthor now giving Vanna John a break from the sound clips since the dismal years are over, I hope. I hope so, too.
Amen.
Richard Stevens, Steve Trawick, Ann Pridgeon, Shane Bailey, Susan Trawick, Willie Carden, win from Norman, Oklahoma. Gary Grant, a.k.a. AU fan at KSC. Oh, that reminds me, we have a Guess the Game. I just got to go download it out of my email in a second. William Morgan, Bradley Blackman, Eric Morgan, Michael Kirshner, War Eagle, John and Van, David WDE Salmons Esquire, G Money, who was up there pretty close to the top there for a while, if I recall correctly, Rich Reimer, Steve Harlan, Wes Atkinson, Dan Thompson, a few more patrons, then back to the authorities. Catherine England, Will Summerford, no one fights like Gaston, War Eagle always, Jacob and Robin Fleming, Mickey B, Winston Body, washed up fantasy F1 team principal. I feel that way every year, man. Brandon Smith, Daniel Odom, 2008-09 Taliban Wrangler World Champion, H-Town Danny, WDE Richie, Chris Hilton, Bob WDE Salmons, Auburn University Debate Team 74-75, and Kurt Sleazy Scheiser. Take a breath. Algo Rhythm and Blues, Rusty Owens, goodbye, Hugh. Luther and Kelly Ottaway, what music band do farmers listen to when they are bringing in their harvest? Hall and Oates. Yep, I said it. Who else we got? Todd Robinson, undisputed 2012 doubles badminton intramural champion. That's like the one intramural thing I never tried. Chad McDowell, Auburn football's Elvis, Wade Ward, Reynolds Wolf. Reynolds has a new YouTube show now, apparently. I saw him talking about a teacher that he had back in school on his show today on one of the social media. It was really good. Reynolds tells a good story. You know what I mean? He's a raconteur when he wants to be.
Mm-hmm. Or we've read some of his letters on this podcast that he's a very eloquent person.
Absolutely. Philip Martin, Jeff Hunter, David G is the health and safety rep for
Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage. Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage.
When we were cooking, Maddie and her fiance came down for Mira's birthday over the weekend, and we were frying up chicken fingers, and I did the whole bring it on down. You got it. We'll put it in the fry. That whole thing. He does that whole thing like we'll put candy bar. We'll put it in the fry. You got it. Whatever. We'll put it in the fry. This is a dinosaur. He's standing next to like a Barney guy. He goes, this is a dinosaur. I love that. It's so good. Alex and Michael in Singapore. My old stomping grounds. Although Alex and Michael, the thing that continues to bug me is when I lived there was no Universal Studios theme park. So I read a lot on the beach, which was fine. I think it was probably preferable. I can go to Universal in Florida. I don't need to do that in Singapore. Mark Margolis, Ashley Lamar, Timothy, Russell Milling, Randall Walker, David Simpson, Josh Teal, Tony Perry, Rob Morgan, Patrick Williams says to AU Wishbone.
Whether you like it or not, learn to love it because it's the best thing going today.
Woo! Construction Tiger, Papa Todd, Cato, the SEC Pick'em champion, Stephen Houston, Kevin Mahan, Blake Heron, Sarah Hines, Sasquatch, 7-time North America hide and seek champion, last year's BB basketball bracket winner, Tim Pittman, our own Boris the Tiger. I'm not playing it again, Boris. But Charles Mooney, did you know all the fried food in Athens is cooked in grease? Sorry about the delayed effect there. David D, Auburn Blue, Dr. Crackham. Bill Weathers, Eternal Glory. Walt is at least excited for baseball, softball, golf, tennis, and dare I say it, football.
Please clap.
Antoine Morris, ABB, Wiggerbird, the 2005 Auburn University Intramural Horseshoes champion, Tyler Ward, Mark Squire. Cue the anthem, boys. You know who's number one. Auburn, number one. There we go. I have to keep it short. Alex Wynn, Kenneth Britt Raines always tells us the barbecue.
You have failed me for the last time.
AKA Auburn Dead for Life. Honestly, that's the main reason I have that sound clip still on the soundboard, is that that's always been his cool sound clip, and it works. So I have it on there. If I ever think of a reason to use it, great. But usually it's kind of there for him. Let's see. John Stubbs, Clay Henson. What are you drinking there?
Fresca.
Ooh, I didn't know they made that anymore.
It's an original.
Wow.
Left over from the 70s. Can.
I was going to say you found it in the basement.
No. Now it's sparkling soda water, man.
Okay. My dad used to have that occasionally. I never tried it when I was little. That's cool. I've got the I actually have the Costco generic sparkling water, which looks like it was done on Microsoft Paint in 1985.
I was going to say, did you make your own label there?
Well, it's what I paid for it. You understand why they didn't put a lot of effort into the graphics. It's about $3 for a whole big case of those things. John Stubbs, Clay Henson, Justin Bean, James Taylor, Ruth, and Darren Sutherland. And finally, Ben Amos, Spanky, the AU Wishbone, my new happy place, Larry Bird. Oh, he wants let's do the whole shooting match then. Where is it? Oh, I don't know where it is anymore. Where did it go? Oh my gosh.
Kevin McHale's not walking through that door. Robert Parrish is not walking through that door. And Larry Bird's not walking through that door.
That's good. No, that'll work. It's like it disappeared. Oh, there it is. I thought it was green on here, but it's orange. Now I'll go ahead and do it.
Larry Bird's not walking through that door, fans. Kevin McHale's not walking through that door, and Robert Parrish is not walking through that door.
It always makes me think this is like this is Rick Pitino critiquing Boston fans, a Martin Scorsese production. It sounds like sounds like a clip from a Scorsese movie, doesn't it?
The Pre-Departed.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Chris Como, Darren Pyle, Theodore Gary, David Smiley, Trevor Johnson, college equestrian expert Auburn, Elvis AU Falling Up, John Otsuki, Paul Bankson, MVP captivating Kathy Bright.
Your love of the halfling's leaf has clearly slowed your mind.
Ben Regas, Bobby Polite, Elizabeth Donald, I'll buy this for $1, Rich Hammett, Chris Braun, Alex Browns, the Slinko family, Daniel Witten, Tim Saul, Jim McCory. I am Tiger. Someone broke in last night and stole all my antidepressants. I hope they're happy. Wow. Dear Lord.
That's not bad.
That's not. No, it's not. New York Tiger.
Good, but it's
no, but we won't go that far. New York Tiger ate a kid's meal at McDonald's, and boy, was the kid's mom mad. I like that one. All right. I'm going to give Tiger like a 5, and I'm going to give that one like a 7 or an 8, I think. CT Tiger, Jim Myers, Trey Jackson, Howard Franz, Peter Wang, Willie Moe, Zach Doran, Royce Alvarez, Chris, and our one-time and anonymous donors. And a shout out to the free members. I think you can be a free member and maybe just get notices of things, and then you have to decide whether you want to, actually join up or not. Go to www.auwishbone.com. Let's see. We want to do the I have a little I wanted to mention this. This is just kind of neat. So Roger Bennett, who does Men in the really the mastermind of Men in Blazers, he did a book a couple of years ago that was really cool, kind of his biography called Reborn in the USA. Really, really fun book. He did another book now called about the World Cup. I can't think what it's actually called, but it's about World Cups, and he talks about every World Cup since he was a kid, and kind of what it meant and what was going on. And when he gets to kind of the present, he's talking about Men in Blazers. And the thing that really amazed me about it that I wanted to mention to you, John, and to our audience is, they did so many things on Men in Blazers that inspired me and gave me ideas that, hey, let's do something like that. And listening to his audiobook of the World Cup book, almost everything they ever did on there was just spontaneous. They just they didn't have it planned out, and they didn't have a way to finance it, and they didn't have it all set up in advance. And it was always hanging by a shoestring, and yet they presented it in such a way that it felt like it was just natural. And of course they did that. And of course that worked out, and it was just really impressive to me. If you're like an entrepreneur or interested in getting into something new and whatever, and you want to be inspired, listen to Raj in those last few chapters of that new book about the World Cup, where he talks about starting the Men in Blazers network and the podcast and everything. And it's really amazing how he just happened to, he met Michael Davies, who's not with the show anymore because he's the producer of like Jeopardy and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and stuff. And so he kind of had to step away from doing the fun, soccer podcast with Raj. But they met at a wedding. And they were the only two people that were didn't want to be there, and they were watching soccer on like a little TV in the kitchen or something at the wedding. And then they're like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you." And then let's do a podcast together. Next thing you know, they're Men in Blazers, right? So, and I never knew where the name came from exactly, but they said that Men in Blazers comes from the idea that when we were all kids, all the authority type figures in sports, like ABC, Y World of Sports, and all, were Blazers. Gold ones or blue, whatever. Every network had its own color blazer for the sports people. And I never really thought about that, but it's true. Because remember, ABC had like the kind of gold ones.
Oh, sure.
Jim McKay and whoever would wear, remember, on Wild World of Sports? The agony of defeat. So anyway, I just thought that was really neat. And David Wright and I, talking about other shows, David Wright and I, who's been on the White Rocket show many times and had us on his 1984 show recently, he and I are talking about doing like a 3 or 4 part series coming up this spring about the World Cups that we remember, because they meant a lot to both of us individually and the U.S. team, and kind of how the U.S. did that year and what it was all like. And there are World Cups that are significant to him in his life, different from the ones that are to me. So we're just going to walk through them and talk about what they meant. So that should be fun. I'll have more update on that coming up. Let me go ahead and if I were to ask you, because I want to download Jared's questions, his guest the game. If I were to ask you, who is your worst coaches in the world this week, who would you say?
Well, the North Carolina coach had a big lead on VCU and lost. Hubert Davis. He's probably on the list.
He's got to be.
Fans are not happy.
No.
One coach is coaching the defending national champion and lost as a 1 seed. It didn't make it to the second weekend.
Yeah, that's a coach I covet sometimes. And even though I'm happy with the one we have now.
And they kind of got outplayed in the last 10 seconds of that game. I think those are the two that I definitely think about.
What about Kentucky Pope?
Yeah, they spent a lot of money on that roster supposedly, and it didn't matter. Like, the heat is going to be on him. They got to do some damage. I don't think they go fire him right now, but they got to do some damage next year. He's in trouble.
Still haven't beat Auburn. Kentucky hadn't under him.
Well, that's just too bad.
So let's give them a retroactive. Coming up, we have a new Guess the Game from Jared. And those were your worst coaches in the world.
Hello, Van, John, the rest of the AU Wishbone family. This is Jared Albrecht, the yard sale artist, here with Guess the Game number 164. Guess the Game 164 is brought to you by Bob Salmons. Let's take a listen to what Bob sent in.
And they need 15 yards for the first down. They need to get up to the 44-yard line. And the throw, he's going to put it up down the middle. It's intercepted. Got it.
Get out. No, we're out of bounds.
Going to stop the clock. Out of bounds at the 45-yard line.
They're not seeing that backside safety over there.
Okay, guys, I will see you in the hint file.
All right. I have no idea who those announcers were. It sounded like an older clip.
Yeah.
I don't think that was recent. I think that was a while ago.
I first thought it was Brent Musburger, but I don't think so.
I thought it was too, the play-by-play guy, but I don't think that was Brent. Maybe it was somebody else.
So it might have been like one of the Jefferson Pilot 11 o'clock in the morning guys or something.
It could have been, but I'm not sure. And so in the game clip, we heard the other team throw an interception to Auburn in the end zone. That's really all we got.
40 or something.
Yeah.
It was run out to the. Yeah, that doesn't ring a bell at all. So they're throwing over the middle. They're not seeing the backside safety. Is that what he said? And we intercepted it. I mean, it's not the LSU game because we ran all those back for touchdowns. Yeah, I think we have to go to the help file. You ready?
Yeah.
Here we are in the hint file. Let's get rid of those bleeps and give it another listen.
And they need 15 yards for the first down. They need to get up to the 44-yard line. Wilford's going to throw. He's going to put it up down the middle. It's intercepted. Robinson's got it.
Get out. No, we're out of bounds.
He's going to stop the clock. Out of bounds at the 45-yard line.
They're not seeing that backside safety over there.
Okay, I'll see you in the answer file.
All right.
Well,
Werfel to Robinson.
Yeah, but I was going to say that could be no. There's a big clue here. I know which one it is. I was going to say it could be 93 or 94. But here's the clue. That was Brent Musburger. And the 93 team was
not on TV.
Bingo.
So it must be 94 Florida.
Bingo. Here we go.
Okay, John, Van, I have eternal confidence that you guys figured out that this is Auburn playing Florida in 1994. I want to thank Bob Salmons for sending that in. If you'd like to be like Bob and send in a play for Guess the Game, I can be found at Yard Sale Artist on X, Facebook, and Instagram, or you can email me directly at Jared, that's JARROD, at theyardsaleartist.com. Until next time, Van, John, Ward.
You know what I said when I saw Jared's email with Guess the Game in it today?
What'd you say?
My fellow Americans, our long national nightmare is over.
But of course, I then said,
And I am the King of England.
so you never know. You never know what to believe around here.
But we need you to be like Bob Salmons and send in a Guess the Game idea to Jared.
That's right. Jared is like waving the flag and saying,
Assemble the army!
of contributors of Guess the Game clips.
That's right.
That's right. That was a good one. That was good. I feel like we worked together, we sorted it out, and we used all available clues to our. I hate that we had to have the word Werfel though. That did it.
Oh, sure. That was very smart though than the 93 not on TV thing, because I was going to do the whole did Werfel play in both games, and
he did though. That was the thing. Remember, in fact, he may have started in 93 because Spurrier had already yanked him by the Auburn game, whereas in 94 he was getting on thin ice, but Spurrier hadn't pulled the trigger yet. Because you know what it was that Terry Dean was more physically talented, and Spurrier wanted Dean to be the man, but he just couldn't. He wouldn't do it the way Spurrier wanted to do it.
He threw a lot of interceptions.
Yeah, and Werfel was not as physically talented, but he mentally could do it better. And ultimately, Spurrier, after 2 years of trying to fit the round peg into the square hole, Spurrier finally admitted, yeah, Werfel's pretty good. he, you know what I mean? You get enamored of the guy with all the physical tools, and you want to kind of get him up there mentally, and you realize you're going to have to go with a smart guy, even if he's not as physically talented. So we talk about that, and we believe.
Yes.
All right, so that was cool. Let's see. I guess all we have left to do, other than a very brief around the SEC.
Thank you. Order. Questions to the Prime Minister.
It's time for listener questions. Dun, 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 on the AU Wishbone podcast.
Hawaii, you can, monkey boy.
What we got?
All right. We only got one email this evening from frequent emailer Bill Miner, who says, "Hey guys, I know this isn't a baseball podcast of us talking about Auburn. We play Alabama this weekend, by the way. But Major League Baseball's opening day is Wednesday. It is a neat thing that each year hope springs eternal because the full season is in front of the team and anything can happen. Waxing a little poetic, but what specific year, Auburn teams of the past, any sport were you most hopeful for? I realize most hopeful also doesn't necessarily mean best or expecting the most, but those you felt you had a lot of optimism on. Sadly, I was actually hopeful in 2021 since it was a radical change in the script. And if Bo doesn't get hurt against Mississippi State and we don't blow a 28-3 lead, baby Potato is still strolling sidelines."
Oh gosh, let's don't even go there.
Ooh.
All right. So his question, he was talking about baseball, but did I miss a turn where he said football or whatever?
He was talking about opening day and the nostalgia of opening day making you optimistic. And then, so at any Auburn team in any sport where you were really optimistic.
Well, last year in basketball, obviously, is the most recent.
Yeah, but not who's the best team. So you felt not confidence,
Okay,
but just like hopeful optimism.
Well, I'm on record, and it's even in that book, that coming out of that wacky bowl game ending at the end of 2009, and with word that we're getting a quarterback named Cam Newton that some people say is pretty good, and the rest of that recruiting class, people forget, was really good too, including Mike Dyer. I felt really optimistic going into 2010.
I felt really optimistic going into 2003.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
We had been so good in 2002. We had Campbell and Ronnie and Carnell back, and those receivers coming in.
We had Brandon Jacobs, of the three-headed monster, plus Trey Smith. Remember they were the four horsemen of the all apocalypse, the AU apocalypse?
They had too many running backs. But we did not have Bobby Petrino as the offensive coordinator. We had Nalsminger. So,
and if we had only understood at the time, if we had had Borges in 2003 and 2004, the 2003 team could have gone undefeated, and the 2004 team would have started in a much better position vis-a-vis USC and Oklahoma.
That's very true.
So who knows what would have happened, but. No, you're absolutely right. I was super optimistic going into 2003. So the difference is we were right in 10 and very, very wrong in 2003. I was very excited in 90, right? 86, 87, 88, 89. We were so good. And 90 Sporting News picked us to be the national champion preseason. Remember Pat Dye and Ed King on the cover of Sporting News? Going into 90, I'm like, man, this is it. This is the culmination of what we've been building up to. And then it was like an 8-5 year.
Is that the year Florida annihilated us?
Yes. Yeah, because football and the SEC changed that year. Yeah. Think about this. Florida the year before in 89 scored 7 points on us. And that was because we fumbled on our 5 and Emmitt Smith jumped in from the 5. The next year, they scored 48. That was the sea change.
They went from running a Cro-Magnon Neanderthal offense to the Spurrier offense, and we had a defense built to stop the Cro-Magnon Neanderthal offense.
We had big, heavy, slow defensive players, and it took a while for us to adapt. I mean, we had those great defensive backs in 93 and 94 that let us beat Florida, but we really didn't settle into the new wave of football defensively until, I would argue, Tuberville and maybe 2001 when we beat Florida that time. That was when we really kind of got their number a little bit, and then 06 and 07. Yeah, those are some good ones. Any others you want to throw out? Or
no, I was trying to think about a basketball year. I mean, a year when I was really optimistic. I will always be, I was incredibly optimistic about the year 88, I guess. We had the Chris Morris, Mike Jones, Jeff Moore, and with all three of those guys, we had a very strong team and we could do a bunch of damage. We played Georgia Tech in Atlanta at Christmas time, and I was very excited about the game because they were coming off the Final Four run the year before, maybe Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
but I felt pretty good about us in that matchup because of those three guys. Then, of course, Mike Jones was declared ineligible, and Jeff Moore breaks his hand on the basket on the rim in that game, and it really was just kind of the Chris Morris and John Kaler show after that.
Yeah, and Chris Morris, to give him credit, he carried him as far as he could. He was a great player. I love Chris.
Top 5 draft pick. That guy was a stud.
Love Chris Morris. So great. Yeah, no, I agree. That was a good one too. Yeah, and then after that, it all kind of fell apart for Sunday's teams. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're to the tail end here. Any final thoughts? Oh, you had us around the SEC.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about the SEC has had a better NCAA tournament than I expected, I guess. I thought the SEC was great last year, had a lot of obvious top teams, but I thought other than Florida, the rest of the SEC wasn't quite as good as they were last year. It might take a step back, but SEC's been 13-6 in the tournament. The only other conferences that are close, the Big East is 4-1, and the Big Ten is 13-3. So,
funny thing, I think that the only SEC team that lost in the first round was Missouri. I think there was only one that lost.
A&M?
Yeah, A&M. I think they were the only one that lost in the first round. And then several lost in the second round, obviously. So did Georgia win its first
Georgia
game?
lost in the first round too.
Okay. All right, I'm off. Maybe I'm wrong. I may be thinking about Thursday as opposed to Thursday and Friday. That may be what it is. Okay. So, yeah, well, good. I know. I agree. And it makes me feel a little bit better about a very young, inexperienced Auburn team with a new coach, just on the bubble, barely missing the NCAA, considering the SEC was apparently better than we gave them credit for. So that's good. All right. Is that good? We ready to wrap it up?
Let's call it.
Our time is up. We thank you for yours. War Eagle, John.
War Eagle, man.